On December 18, 1967, a Navy chief warrant officer walks through the front entrance of the Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. He is carrying a manila envelope. Inside that envelope is the key list for the KL-47 cipher machine, the device the United States Navy uses to encrypt its most sensitive communications. Within 30 days, Soviet intelligence will be reading American naval messages as easily as their morning newspaper, and they will continue reading them for the next 18 years. The man who walks into that embassy is John Anthony Walker, Jr. He is a communications specialist assigned to the Atlantic Fleet Submarine Force headquarters in Norfolk, Virginia. He has access to virtually every message sent by every submarine in the Atlantic, and tonight, for reasons that have nothing to do with ideology and everything to do with money, he decides to sell it all. What Walker sets in motion over the next 2 decades will become, in the words of the Director of Naval Intelligence, the most damaging espionage operation in American history. The Soviets will track American submarine movements. They will read American war plans. They will understand the capabilities of every weapons system in the fleet. And for 18 years, the United States Navy will have no idea that its secrets are being transmitted directly to Moscow. The damage is almost beyond calculation. Conservative estimates suggest that Walker compromised over 1 million classified messages. The KGB considered his material so valuable that they assigned a dedicated team of cryptographers whose sole job was to decrypt intercepted American naval communications using Walker's keys. Every patrol area, every submarine deployment, every contingency war plan for nuclear conflict. The Soviets knew it all. To understand how one man could inflict this level of damage, you have to understand how naval cryptography works. By the 1960s, the United States Navy has developed sophisticated encryption systems to protect its communications from Soviet interception. The Soviets can intercept the messages easily enough. Radio transmissions travel across oceans. The challenge is making those messages unreadable. The KL-47 cipher machine is the workhorse of Navy encryption. It is an electromechanical device roughly the size of a typewriter. An operator types a message in plain text, and the machine converts it into an encrypted signal that can be transmitted by radio. On the receiving end, another KL-47 decrypts the message back into readable form. The security of the system depends entirely on the key settings. These are contained on key cards, changed according to a rigid schedule. Without the correct key for the correct day, an intercepted message is meaningless gibberish. A supercomputer working continuously could not break the encryption in any reasonable time frame. The mathematics are simply too complex. But here is the critical vulnerability. If an adversary obtains the key cards themselves, they do not need to break the encryption at all. They simply use the keys to read the messages directly. This is what Walker provides the Soviets. Not the machine, the keys. Every month, Walker photographs the key lists for the KL-47 and later the KW-7, the newer machine that replaces it. He delivers these photographs to his Soviet handlers through dead drops, prearranged locations where material can be exchanged without direct contact. The Soviets combine these keys with messages they have already intercepted through their extensive signals intelligence network. Within hours of receiving Walker's material, they are reading communications that Navy commanders believe are completely secure. The operational impact is staggering. American submarine commanders transmit their patrol positions, believing only friendly forces can read them. The Soviets read these messages and know exactly where American submarines are operating. American warplanners transmit contingency orders for nuclear strikes. The Soviets read these orders and understand precisely how the United States intends to fight a nuclear war. American intelligence officers transmit assessments of Soviet capabilities. The Soviets read these assessments and understand exactly what America knows and does not know about their forces. Walker does not stumble into espionage. He chooses it deliberately, with a cold calculation that will define the next 18 years of his life. His motivations are entirely financial. By late 1967, Walker is drowning in debt. He owns a bar in Charleston that is losing money. He has a wife and 4 children. His Navy salary is not keeping up with his lifestyle. He needs cash, and he needs it quickly. The idea comes to him, he will later claim, while reading about a Soviet spy case in the newspapers. He realizes that he has something the Soviets want. He has access. He has classified material that passes through his hands every day, and he has a complete absence of loyalty that allows him to treat national secrets as a commodity to be sold. Walker's first meeting at the Soviet embassy is almost comically informal. He walks in, asks to speak to someone about security matters, and is eventually directed to a KGB officer operating under diplomatic cover. Walker gets straight to the point. He has classified material for sale. He demonstrates his access by producing the KL-47 key list from his envelope. The KGB officer examines it, recognizes immediately what he is looking at, and the negotiation begins. The Soviets agree to pay Walker several $1,000s for his initial delivery. More importantly, they establish the framework for an ongoing relationship. Walker will continue to provide cryptographic material on a regular schedule. The Soviets will pay him regularly in return. Dead drops will be used for exchanges. Personal meetings will be rare, usually only when Walker travels outside the United States. What the Soviets have just acquired is not a single intelligence windfall. It is a pipeline, a continuous, reliable source of the most sensitive material the American Navy produces. For the KGB, John Walker is the espionage equivalent of striking oil. Walker refines his tradecraft over the following months and years. He photographs documents in his basement using a Minox camera, a compact device designed specifically for document copying. He wraps his film in trash bags and buries it at dead drop locations marked on maps provided by his handlers. He retrieves payments left at separate locations. The entire system is designed to minimize direct contact and reduce the risk of detection. By 1969, Walker has been transferred to the staff of Commander Submarine Forces Atlantic in Norfolk. This is a promotion, and it places him at the nerve center of Atlantic's submarine operations. Every message flowing to and from Atlantic Fleet submarines passes through his communications center. Walker now has access not only to cryptographic keys but to operational intelligence of extraordinary value. Submarine deployments, patrol schedules, weapons readiness, all of it. The money begins to change Walker's life. He pays off his debts. He improves his lifestyle. He starts spending more freely, explaining the income to anyone who asks as profits from his bar business. His wife Barbara notices the change. She knows there is no way the bar is generating this kind of cash. And one night in 1968, just months after Walker has begun his espionage, she discovers the truth. Barbara Walker finds the spy equipment, the camera, the cryptographic material, the cash. She confronts her husband, and he admits everything. He is spying for the Soviet Union. He has been doing so for months, and there is nothing she can do about it. This moment is one of the most troubling elements of the Walker case. Barbara Walker knows her husband is committing treason. She knows he is selling secrets that could get American sailors killed, and she keeps silent. For 17 years, she keeps the secret. She later claims she was terrified of her husband, that he threatened her with violence, but she also accepts money from his espionage. She lives on the proceeds of treason. Her complicity will become a central issue when the case finally unravels. Walker retires from active duty in 1976, but his espionage does not end. The Soviets make clear they expect the relationship to continue, and Walker has a solution. He will recruit others who still have access. He will build a spy ring. His first recruit is his older brother, Arthur Walker. Arthur is a retired Navy lieutenant commander who now works for VSE Corporation, a defense contractor in Norfolk. Arthur does not have access to cryptographic material, but he has access to classified documents related to ship construction and weapons systems. John persuades him to begin photographing this material. Arthur agrees, motivated by the same thing that drives his brother, money. The second recruit is Jerry Whitworth, a Navy radio man whom Walker befriends while both are stationed in San Diego. Whitworth is a more valuable asset than Arthur. He serves on multiple Navy ships with access to cryptographic systems, including the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise and the supply ship USS Niagara Falls. Whitworth provides the same kind of material Walker originally supplied: key lists, technical manuals, operational messages. The third recruit is the most disturbing of all. John Walker recruits his own son. Michael Walker joins the Navy in 1982, following his father into service. He is assigned to the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz as a yeoman, an administrative position that gives him access to classified documents. His father approaches him about espionage almost immediately. Michael is 22 years old. He agrees. The Walker spy ring now has 4 members operating across multiple Navy commands. John Walker coordinates the operation from the outside, collecting material from his recruits, photographing it, and delivering it to the Soviets through established dead drop procedures. The Soviets are paying approximately $1 million total over the life of the operation, split among the participants. The intelligence continues to flow. Whitworth provides material from the Enterprise during deployments to the Pacific. Michael Walker provides documents from the Nimitz during deployments to the Mediterranean. Arthur Walker provides contractor specifications for ship repair and weapon systems. And John Walker coordinates it all, maintaining contact with his Soviet handlers through a system of dead drops, coded signals, and occasional meetings in Vienna. The damage compounds with each passing year. By the early 1980s, the Soviets have used Walker's material to reconstruct American cryptographic systems so thoroughly that Vitaly Yurchenko, a KGB officer who will later defect to the United States, tells his CIA debriefers that the Walker operation is the most important in KGB history. The Soviets are not merely reading individual messages. They have achieved a fundamental understanding of how American naval communications work. They can predict what the Americans will do because they know how the Americans think. For 18 years, no one catches John Walker. He is never investigated by naval intelligence. He is never questioned by the FBI. He passes polygraph examinations without difficulty. His spending habits raise no red flags. He is, to all outward appearances, a retired Navy warrant officer running a private detective business in Norfolk. The spy ring operates in complete obscurity. What finally brings Walker down has nothing to do with counterintelligence. It has everything to do with a collapsing marriage. John and Barbara Walker divorce in 1976, shortly after his retirement from the Navy. The separation is bitter. Walker cuts off financial support. Barbara struggles with alcohol. She grows increasingly resentful, and she has carried this secret for nearly 2 decades. In November 1984, Barbara Walker picks up the phone and calls the FBI office in Boston. She tells them that her ex-husband is a Soviet spy. She provides specific details about his activities, his methods, and his contacts. She has been holding this information for 17 years. Now she releases it. The FBI is initially skeptical. They receive tips about alleged spies constantly, and most turn out to be unfounded. But the specificity of Barbara's information is compelling. She knows about the Minox camera. She knows about the dead drops. She knows about the Soviet payments. She knows things that only someone with direct knowledge of an espionage operation could know. The FBI opens a formal investigation. They begin surveillance on John Walker. They tap his phones. They watch his movements. And they wait for him to make a dead drop. On the evening of May 19, 1985, John Walker drives from his home in Norfolk to a rural area of Montgomery County, Maryland. He is carrying a grocery bag filled with classified documents, photographs, and film. This is a scheduled dead drop. He plans to leave the material at a designated location and retrieve a payment left by his Soviet handler at a separate location. FBI surveillance teams follow him. They watch as he drives slowly through the area, looking for the drop site. They watch as he stops his car and deposits the grocery bag at the base of a tree. They photograph him making the drop. Then they move in. At approximately 11 p.m., FBI agents stop Walker's van on a quiet road. He is arrested without incident. In his van, agents find additional classified material, operational instructions from the Soviets, and detailed maps of dead drop locations. At the drop site, they recover the grocery bag containing 129 classified documents. The arrests cascade rapidly. Michael Walker is taken into custody aboard the Nimitz. Arthur Walker is arrested in Norfolk. Jerry Whitworth is arrested in California. Within days, the entire spy ring is in FBI custody. The debriefings reveal the full scope of the damage. Walker cooperates with investigators, providing detailed information about his 18 years of espionage in exchange for a reduced sentence for his son. The picture that emerges is devastating. Walker estimates that he provided the Soviets with key material for over 1 million encrypted messages. Whitworth provided technical manuals that allowed the Soviets to understand not only current cryptographic systems, but future developments. Arthur Walker provided ship construction specifications that gave the Soviets insight into American naval engineering. Michael Walker provided operational documents from one of America's premier aircraft carriers. The combined effect was to render American naval communications transparent to the Soviet Union for nearly 2 decades. Every assumption American commanders made about the security of their communications was wrong. Every encrypted message they believed was protected was being read in Moscow. Every operational plan they thought was secret was known to the enemy. The human cost extends beyond the strategic damage. During Walker's 18 years of espionage, American submarines operated in waters where the Soviets could track them. American sailors served on ships whose vulnerabilities were known to the enemy. American war plans were compromised in ways that could have proven catastrophic if the Cold War had turned hot. The exact number of American deaths attributable to Walker's espionage cannot be calculated, but former Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger stated that Walker's activities placed American lives at risk and compromised national security on a massive scale. The trial of John Walker takes place in 1985. He pleads guilty to espionage and receives a sentence of life imprisonment. The plea agreement spares his son Michael from a life sentence. Michael receives 25 years. Arthur Walker, tried separately, receives 3 life sentences. He dies in federal prison in 2014 at the age of 79. Jerry Whitworth receives 365 years. John Walker serves his sentence at the federal penitentiary in Atlanta, then at the maximum security facility in Marion, Illinois. He shows no remorse. In interviews, he treats his espionage as a business transaction, referring to his spying as a job he did well. He expresses no regret for the damage he caused, no concern for the lives he may have endangered. He simply took what he had access to and sold it to the highest bidder. Walker dies in prison on August 28, 2014, at the age of 77. He has served 28 years of his life sentence. He never expresses remorse. He never apologizes to the Navy he betrayed, the country he sold out, or the family he dragged into treason. The legacy of the Walker spy ring extends far beyond the sentences imposed. The Navy undertakes a complete overhaul of its cryptographic security procedures. Personnel with access to sensitive material face more rigorous background checks. Compartmentalization is increased to limit the damage any single individual can inflict. The KL-47 and KW-7 systems are replaced with more secure equipment, but some damage cannot be undone. The Soviets retain the knowledge Walker provided. They understand American cryptographic principles, operational patterns, and strategic thinking in ways that cannot be erased by changing key codes or upgrading equipment. The intelligence advantage Walker provided influences Soviet planning for years after his arrest. There is also the question that haunts every American submarine commander who served during those 18 years. Did the Soviets know where my boat was? Did they track my patrol? Did they read my messages? The answer, in most cases, is probably yes. Walker's material was that comprehensive. His betrayal was that complete. Barbara Walker receives no prosecution for her 17 years of silence. She is granted immunity in exchange for her testimony and cooperation. She later struggles with guilt and alcoholism. She has said in interviews that she should have reported her husband immediately, that lives might have been saved if she had acted sooner. But she did not act. She kept the secret until her marriage collapsed and her resentment boiled over. Michael Walker is released from prison in 2000 after serving 15 years of his 25-year sentence. He has maintained a low profile since his release. He was barely out of his teens when his father recruited him, a young man manipulated by a parent he trusted. His sentence reflects that consideration, but the crimes remain. The Walker case raises questions about loyalty, motivation, and the vulnerability of even the most sophisticated security systems to human betrayal. Walker was not ideologically motivated. He did not spy because he believed in communism or opposed American policy. He spied because he wanted money. He treated national secrets as inventory to be sold, and he found a willing buyer in the Soviet Union. The KGB considered him their most valuable American asset. After his arrest, Soviet intelligence officers expressed genuine surprise that the operation had lasted so long without detection. They had expected Walker to be caught within a few years. That he operated for 18 years says as much about American counterintelligence failures as it does about Walker's tradecraft. In the end, John Walker's legacy is one of profound damage and ordinary greed. He did not see himself as a traitor in any ideological sense. He saw himself as an entrepreneur, a man who identified a market opportunity and exploited it, that his product was the security of the United States Navy, that his customers were Soviet intelligence officers, that his business endangered the lives of American sailors. None of this troubled him. He walked into the Soviet embassy in December 1967 because he needed money. He walked out having set in motion the most damaging espionage operation in the history of American naval intelligence. For 18 years, the secrets of the submarine force flowed directly to Moscow, and every encrypted message that American commanders trusted with their operations, their strategies, and sometimes their lives, was being read by the enemy. The cipher machines are silent now. The Cold War is history. But the lesson of John Walker remains. The most sophisticated encryption in the world cannot protect against a man who will sell the keys.